Hi there. I'm Susan O'Hara from LegsLikeMine.com. I'm a lipedema patient, author, and passionate advocate for those of us living with this often misunderstood disease called lipedema. Welcome back to the podcast. I keep a close eye on a website called PubMed for all new lipedema research. And today I'm going to break down an important study that was just published on April 11th, 2025. It's from a team of Swedish researchers, and it dives deep into how women with lipedema experience healthcare, self care, and treatment options. This one hit me hard, and I think it's going to hit home for many of you too. The study involved 245 women with lipedema across Sweden. Most were between 50 and 59 years old, and nearly all had been living with symptoms for decades, yet most had only been recently diagnosed. Does that sound familiar? Nearly one-third had gone to 10 or more doctor visits before getting that diagnosis. Even then, it was a toss-up whether they saw someone with enough knowledge to recognize lipedema. What really stood out to me was how dissatisfied these women were with the healthcare they received. Across the board, their satisfaction scores were far lower than those of women in the general population. The worst scores were in the overall impression of care, emotional support, and information and knowledge. In other words, they didn't feel seen, heard, or helped. Women described being dismissed, told they were just overweight, or even laughed at when they mentioned lipedema. Imagine working up the courage to seek care for chronic pain and swelling and getting humiliated instead. And guess what? It happens all the time. So, four themes emerged. The researchers found these four major themes in women's responses: a lonely and demanding journey, navigating care without guidance, being passed around or ignored. Second, they had uncertainty and inconsistency in their care, especially depending on where you live or what you can afford. Third, they all felt unheard and disrespected, particularly around weight stigma and being believed. Finally, the impact of poor knowledge in healthcare, doctors who had never even heard of lipedema. Reading these responses, I thought, this is exactly what I've lived through, and I bet some of you have too. And guess what? This is why I founded the American Lipedema Association, and so many patients and doctors have already joined, because we need to have people who are aware of lipedema and who listen to our patients. Now, here's the good news. Women are finding ways to help themselves. Most women in the study had tried multiple self-care strategies, from low-impact exercise to compression, diet changes, massage, and more. While the results varied, compression garments and lymphatic therapy stood out as helpful for many. Interestingly, about 20% of the women had undergone liposuction, and nearly all of them reported very good results from that. But let's be clear, most of these women were doing all of this on their own. The healthcare system wasn't guiding them. In fact, it was often in the way. So, what needs to change, and what can we take from this? We need better education for healthcare providers about lipedema, clinical guidelines that help doctors offer real treatment options, and honestly, we need to be believed. Until that happens, women like us will keep turning to each other and to research on our own for help. I hope that by sharing these findings, we're moving the needle, because every time one of us speaks up, we make it a little easier for the next woman to get care. The paper I've been reviewing today is open access, so I'll be able to link it in the description if you want to read the full thing yourself. If this episode resonates with you, or if you've been through a long, lonely diagnostic journey, I want you to know you are not alone. And together, we're going to keep pushing for better. Thanks for listening. I'm Susan O'Hara from LegsLikeMine.com. Be kind to yourself and keep going.